Like an angel in the morning, shooting star across the night. The most beautiful girl I've seen in all my life. Every second spent with you, it's like a day that starts brand new. Girl, I'm so amazed at all the things you do. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. And girl, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. I want me, all over me, already alive. I will love you forever. I want me, all over me, already alive. I will love you forever. I hear music in your words and in the way you call my name. When you're by my side, I can't do anything. You're my best friend, you're my lover. Without you, no one else would do. Through thick and thin, I know we'll make it true. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. Girl, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. I want me, all over me, already alive. See, I will love you forever. I want me, all over me, already alive. I will love you forever. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. You are me, all over me, already alive. See, I will love you forever. You are me, all over me, already alive. See, I will love you forever. My sugar, my honey, my lover, I will love you forever. My baby, my lover, and my best friend, I will love you forever. I place no woman above you. I will love you forever. I promise to always love you, baby. I will love you forever. And there's no one that comes close. I will love you forevermore. Ever and ever and evermore. I will love you forever. Cause you are my baby, my sunshine. I will love you forever. And when there's nothing more to say, I will love you forever. Forever and ever and ever and ever. Like an angel in the morning, shooting star across the night. The most beautiful girl I've seen in all my life. Every second spent with you, it's like a day that starts brand new. Girl, I'm so amazed at all the things you do. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. And girl, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. I want me, all over me, already alive. I will love you forever. kindness and in the way you call my name. When you're by my side, I can't do anything. You're my best friend, you're my lover. Without you, no one else would do. Through thick and thin, I know we'll make it true. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and always. Girl, you are my sunshine, baby. I want me, all over me, already alive. See, I will love you forever. I want me, all over me, already alive. I will love you forever. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. You are me, all over me, already alive. See, I will love you forever. Oh, me, all over me, already alive. See, I will love you forever. My sugar, my honey, my lover, I will love you forever. My baby, my lover, and my best friend, I will love you forever. I place no woman above you. I will love you forever. I promise to always love you, baby. I will love you forever. And there's no one other girls to love. I will love you forevermore. And ever and ever and evermore. I will love you forever. Cause you are my baby, my sunshine. I will love you forever. And when there's nothing more to say, I will love you forever. Forever and ever and ever and ever. I will love you forever.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining again tonight. As we continue our conversation on the anatomy of relationship and marriage, this has been an interesting and exciting journey for me. Like what someone suggested and I plan to do is to have this compilation together online, which we're already doing, so that individuals who have not been privileged to attend this program in future might be able to, there are two people around me that were about getting married recently, and I have to send this to them to listen to, just to ensure that, when you know better, you do better. When you do not know better, you don't do better. Being able to do better is a function of you knowing better. Unfortunately, in our society, not so many know better. Hence, not so many are able to do better. That's the tragedy of our time. That's the challenge of our time. That's the challenge we must work around. If you know that you can't do better if you don't know better, it's now a challenge for you to do something about it. Like I have maintained that ignorance is a gift. It makes you humble enough to want to learn. So that I don't know is a gift. In fact, knowing that I don't know is a gift. It makes me not deceive myself to want to learn. Because I realize when you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. When you don't know better, you don't do better. You're wondering why relationships are breaking up in our society today. You're wondering why it's becoming so difficult for people to be able to live together in peace. It is because many of them don't know any better. They've not learned to live by principles. So let's start. The youth of our generation are faced with the challenge of choosing a life partner. Many have followed practices and not principles. And these have led to the situation where you have a high rate of divorce and a plenty paternity fraud in many relationships. Plenty paternity fraud in many relationships. So the goal of this program is to help everyone that will be part of it or that will listen in future to get it right in this very critical area of their lives. You will hear some uncommon ideas about marriage in this series, but please note that they are based on principles, they are based on scriptures, they are based on statistics, and they are going to help you to align with the current reality of our times. Listen with rapt attention and listen with open mind. But please go back to check if some of those claims are so. I would like to start today's session by saying that relationship is first of all social before it becomes sexual. Relationship is first of all social before it becomes sexual. Therefore, you need to marry your friend. I cannot overemphasize this. I was listening to a pastor recently. Sometimes when I hear some things, how do I describe this? Sometimes people will use their own experience to judge. They will use their own experience to judge. It's a practice. It's not a principle. But because this is what they experience, they just use to judge. They say, no, you don't marry your friend. You marry the person that God told you to marry. And he assumed that everybody can hear God. And he also assumed that he hear God means I will have peace in that marriage. What he doesn't understand is that even when God tells you this is what you should do, you still have the obligation to know how to live together in peace. And that knowing who you are to marry is not superior, it's inferior to knowing how to live together in that relationship. Because there are people today who marry without praying about it. They don't even know God. Some of them are even atheists, but they have fantastic marriage. If they are to come to the world 10 times, they will marry each other again. They have fantastic marriage, in spite of the fact that these people are not even believers. But they've learned to live together in peace, in unity, and in harmony. They've learned to live together in peace, in unity, and the harmony. Relationship is first social because it becomes sexual. A lot of people don't marry their friend. They don't marry their friend. They don't marry their friend that they have known, and they have done stuff together for many years. Many people who marry people that are not their friend. Many people marry people that are not their friend and that are not their friends and do not deem it necessary for them to first of all develop friendship, particularly during courtship, before they get married. There is something about your friend, no matter what the person does, you can find a way to manage each other. You understand each other. You can tolerate each other because you understand each other. You can say anything to each other, so you are free to talk to each other. One of the ingredients of effective courtship is the fact that you both are able to develop friendship. But for many ignorant people, this is not a goal they have in courtship. The goal in courtship is not for them to develop friendship. No. They don't even understand the goal of courtship. I've said it before, that the goal of courtship is not marry. The goal of courtship is to establish if we can go ahead to marry or not. That's the goal of courtship. Is to establish if we can go ahead to marry or not. That's the goal of courtship. Is to establish if we can go ahead to marry or not. That is the goal of courtship. That is the goal of courtship, to discover, to confirm if we can go ahead to marry or not. That is the goal of courtship. And one of the things you can achieve during courtship is to develop friendship. One of the most important ingredients of a successful marriage is an effective courtship. And one of the outcomes of an effective courtship is development of friendship. One of the outcomes of an effective courtship is to develop, or the development of friendship. The development of friendship. That is one of the goals of effective courtship, that we're able to develop friendship. That's one of the goals. That's one of the goals of effective courtship. That means if we're not friends before, now we can be friends. Now we are friends. Let me tell you, look, if you don't marry your friend, you will not enjoy the company of each other. You will irritate each other. You will not want to go. You know, have you met some men? When they close from work, they don't go home. There is nothing to look forward to at home. There is nothing to look forward to at home. There is nothing to look forward to at home. Why? What would they go and do at home? For what now? There's nothing there. They are not fond of each other. They don't miss each other. They don't enjoy each other's company, gist. You know, there's some couple, they can gist and gist and gist and gist and gist and gist and gist. Why? Because they are friends. So they can talk and talk. And you know, you develop that bond when you talk, when you gist, you develop the bond. When you talk, when you gist, you develop the bond. But if you are not friends, you will not be able to gist. You will not like each other's company. Most of the things or issues that we try to settle in marriage will not occur if the courtship was effective, because most of those people or these people having issue are not supposed to marry themselves in the first place. I'll take that again. Most of the things or issues that we try to settle in marriage will not occur if the courtship was effective. They are always fighting each other. They are always having misunderstanding. People have to come and be setting quarrel. It's because they are not effective. The courtship was not effective. So most of the issue you settle in the marriage is a sign of an ineffective courtship, because most of the people having issue are not even supposed to marry themselves in the first place. Please note that marriage is meant to be enjoyed and not to be endured. Marriage is meant to be enjoyed and not to be endured. But if there is no friendship, the marriage is going to be endured and not enjoyed. If there is no friendship, the marriage is going to be endured. So one of the hallmarks of a successful marriage is that husband and wife are friends of each other. They are fond of each other's company. They enjoy each other's company. Because look, you're going to live with this person for the rest of your life. If you don't enjoy his company or her company, if you don't enjoy gisting together, discussing different issues, if you cannot disagree to agree, if you don't know how to settle your misunderstanding, that marriage will be endured. Either you guys are not going to be talking. How will you marry with not talk? How? You must talk. You must gist. You must talk. You must gist. The gisting is extremely necessary. The talking and gisting is extremely necessary for the success of that marriage. But you only find you are fond of gisting with someone you like, and they have to be your friend. Marriage is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. Research has shown that there are top 5 reasons why relationship and marriage have issues. I've mentioned this before, but we'll explain them today. Why relationships have issues and eventually crash. Number 1, communication. Number 2, sex. Number 3, money. Number 4, third party. It could be in-law or their friends. Number 5, unrealistic expectation. From these 5, the top three, which is communication, sex, and money, are very critical. But out of these top 3, the most important one is communication. Do you know why communication is the most important? There is practically no problem. There is practically no problem. There is practically no problem in marriage that you will not be able to solve if there is effective communication. You know, communication is more than just speaking. It's being able to talk in a way that the person understands what I'm saying. I talk in a way that, this is why I said, it's good when you marry, you don't marry people that are too far away from you in age. People that you were in university together at the same period, even if you're in the same school, you're in the same secondary school together at the same period, same primary school together, and you're in primary school at the same period, secondary school in the same period, university at the same period. That means whatever is common among young people of that generation, both of you can relate with it. So that when you say something, the person will not misinterpret it because it's in a different generation entirely. It's in a different generation entirely. So the reason why communication is the most important cause of problem in marriage is because there is no problem that cannot be solved in this life except the problem that cannot be discussed. Every problem in life can be solved as long as we allow. You know, you see what is happening in Ukraine? They will still end it up on negotiation table. They will still have to discuss eventually. They will still have to discuss eventually. If we are unable to sit down to discuss it, then it will be very difficult to find solution to that problem. If we are unable to discuss it, it will be difficult to find solution to that problem. And the ingredient that makes discussion easy is friendship. The ingredient that makes discussion easy is friendship. The ingredient that makes discussion easy is friendship. So can you see something now? To be able to settle every misunderstanding, dispute, and quarrel in a relationship and marriage, we must discuss it. But the ingredient that makes it easier for us to sit down and discuss, no matter what the problem is friendship. If we are unable to sit down to discuss it, then it will be difficult to solve that problem. It will be very difficult to have a problem. Effective communication is expressing the way you feel from your own point of view without judging the other party's action or reaction. Effective communication is expressing the way you feel from your own point of view without judging the other party's action or reaction. Effective communication is expressing your view from your own point of view, is expressing your point, your opinion, or how you feel from your point of view without judging. So this is the way I feel. What you said, I really don't like it. When you said it, I feel bad. I'm not happy about it. In that statement, I've not said, how will you say that to me? That is wicked of you. See the way you make me feel. You are very wicked. No, I didn't judge you. I just tell you, oh, what you said, I really don't like it. It makes me feel so sad. I said, so I'm talking about how I feel. I'm not judging what you did. You know, when you're talking to people, there is a way you can easily break through their resistance. You can break through their resistance. When you are talking to people and you are expressing how you feel, but you're not judging them. You're making them to understand that, look, I really don't like what you did. I know now, look at the way I say it. I say, I know you have a good intention. I know you did it out of you really you have a good intention for doing it, but sincerely, I really don't like it. Now, what I've done is I've made him feel good for doing what he did, but I also let him know I don't like it because of the way it makes me feel. That way, I'm not judging that, look, you did what is wrong. No, because sincerely, sometimes you really don't know why people do what they did. Whatever interpretation you give it is a coloration from your history. You really cannot be sure that this is the reason why they did what they did. You really cannot be sure. Let's talk about third party again. Even though one of the problems in marriage is created by third party, that does not mean you don't bring in third party. No. Whenever both of you have a problem that both of you have been unable to solve, that is a sign that you need a third party. However, you are bringing in a third party that can come in to assist, not a third party that have a vested interest. I'm not saying you should call a pastor. I'm saying you could call a marriage counselor. If the pastor is a marriage counselor, that is good. I mean a professional counselor, a trained personnel who can help, who can be very frank with both of you, who can let you know the way out. The mistake many people make in bringing in third parties that they bring in pastor to come and help. This is not because the pastor knows what relationship is about or is skilled in this area, just because he's a pastor. They believe or assume that he will be able to know what to say or what to do. It is religion that make people to do this. If you think clearly, you know pastors are not all in all. They are not all in all. There are professionally trained marriage counselors who will be frank with you, because these are people that have counseled many families. They understand exactly what is going on. Some of them are even therapists, and they will be able to provide solution. And both of you will leave that place happier and better. Because you are talking to a professional who knows what he's doing. You are talking to a professional who knows exactly what he's doing. This is very important, because if you do not talk to a professional, let me tell you what will happen. You might find yourself talking to someone who is biased. Who is biased. And the implication of being biased is that it can make you guys to even become worse. You can talk to someone who will just be quoting scriptures and telling you theories without showing you practical solution on how to fix the problem. Many people are religious zombies today because they believe that pastors have all the answers, not knowing that even some pastors are having relationship in their issues with their relationship in their homes. If some wife or pastor tell you what they are facing, you will know that they are not Messiah. They also have issues and they need help. Only that because they are on the pedestal, many of them will not seek the help. So their wife are subdued and subjugated, cannot even talk in the home. Please know that religion is more dangerous than the devil. And Christianity is not a religion. Christianity is not a religion. It is religion that makes you to spiritualize everything rather than being pragmatic in solving your problem. Hence, the decision to get your pastor involved in what the pastor is not trained to do is because of that religious mind. And some of these pastors think that the solution to every problem is prayer. You guys need to pray. You need to pray. You need to pray. Solution to every problem is not prayer. For some time, it's just sacrifice on both parties. Sometimes it's just being considerate. Sometimes it's just understand principles that make life easy and work. Please note that ignorance is not a demon and therefore cannot be cast out of people. Ignorance is not a demon. It can't be cast out. Skills are not imparted by laying on of hands. Skills are learned and acquired. Also know that you cannot pray your way in out of a problem or challenges of life that you behave yourself into. I will take that again. You cannot pray your way out of a problem and out of challenges that you behave yourself into. You cannot pray your way out of problem and challenges that you behave yourself into. You cannot pray a way or pray your way out of challenges. It was your foolish behavior that led you into that problem. You cannot pray it away. You cannot pray it away. You cannot pray it away. Because you behave yourself into it, you have to behave yourself out of it. if you behave yourself into a problem, the only work of prayer is to get you to have the grace to be able to behave yourself out of it. That's what prayer will do. Prayer will not solve it. It will give you is the grace to behave yourself out of it that you need. There are people today in churches that have dual personality. Dual personality. They don't have mental issues, but they have dual personality. But some even have mental issues. Some have an emotional problem. And all this needs trained personnel to help the people out and not casting out of devil. They need trained personnel to help the people out because these are emotional issues. They need therapists. They need therapists to help them out of this problem. No matter the level of prayer, you cannot behave yourself or pray your way rather out of a problem you behave yourself into. This is so important. Unfortunately, this is what we do in many religious assemblies. And unfortunately, nothing is changing and nobody is thinking of, look, it's like this thing is not changing. Maybe there is something I'm not getting right that I need to correct. Because they are still, it's like doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. Someone call it a flavor of lunacy. Someone call it a flavor of lunacy. Doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. Someone call it a flavor of lunacy. How can you be doing the same thing the same way and you want a different result? Of course, you get the same result. Of course, you get the same result. To get people out of this issue, they need a therapist. Sometimes you hear people complaining about their spouses and saying their spouses do not talk because she's or he is an introvert. The question to ask them is it that you did not know the personality of your spouse and be sure you are okay with it before you get married? Why are you now complaining about it? You don't know he was an introvert before you got married. You don't know this man is an introvert, that he doesn't talk or he doesn't like talking. You should have known and be able to know that you are comfortable with it. You should have known and be comfortable with it. You can't be complaining about it now. That is practically too late because you are now inside. Why should you be complaining about something you should have spotted, discovered, and taken a decision about before now? You know why it was never spotted? Because he believed, he prayed, and God led him to this person. So there's no need. This person is the perfect for me. Perfect for me. But why are you now complaining about him? I thought he was perfect. I thought he was perfect. I thought he was perfect. The reason why the reason why the third session of this program was a series, a discussion about self-discovery is because if you do not understand yourself, then you will not be able to know the kind of personality your spouse, the kind of personality your spouse must be for you to be able to cope with it. If you don't know yourself, you will not know the kind of personality your spouse must be to be able to cope with it. Because you don't even know yourself in the first place. How do you then know the personality that you'll be able to cope with? How do you know? Self-discovery is so important because it helped me to be able to know the kind of person I can cope with. If you are talkative, you like talking, you know you can't cope with someone that can't talk, because how do people converse in the house? Because both of you are not, I mean, you can talk, he's not talking, you think he doesn't love you, doesn't have time for you. Whereas it's because you never understand yourself well enough to know the person or the quality of the person you want to marry. And these are things you'll have spotted during courtship. That this guy is a man of few words. He doesn't like gisting. He doesn't like gisting. Now, to be single is to be whole. And you need that wholeness before you can get married. Being single or whole is being in a state of happiness and living in alignment with your design. A person that is not in this state is dysfunctional and therefore should not even think of getting married. The challenge of our society today is that you see dysfunctional men marrying dysfunctional women, so therefore form a dysfunctional home or family, and they give birth to dysfunctional children. So you should therefore not be surprised that we have a dysfunctional society. When you do not understand yourself and live in alignment with yourself, a person that is not in the state of, have not discovered himself and living in alignment with his design, is not whole. A person that is not in the state of wholeness is dysfunctional. That person should not get married. But there are so many dysfunctional men and women getting married. They are in alignment with their design. They're not in alignment with their design. They are not happy with life. They are not, as in, they are just guessing through life. And he's going to marry. When you understand yourself, you will be able to help your spouse, particularly the men. You will be able to help yourself to understand you. And this is what we discussed earlier about the need to create your user manual. If you are just joining us in episode, I think episode 5, we discussed user's manual. Both of us must have a user's manual. And you can listen to episode 5 to know what we discussed in the user's manual. So apart from praying, fasting, and discussing issues like money, sex, handling third party during courtship, another important issue to be discussed is to develop your user's manual. Is to develop your user's manual. That means both of you teach each other in order to understand yourself and know how to manage each other. Teach each other to understand yourself and also know how to manage each other. This is where you tell yourself about who you are and what you have discovered about yourself and how you want him to love you or how you want her to love you. It is important that you know that you are supposed to love your spouse the way they want to be loved. And this means they need to teach you. Please note, please note. You can't love someone until you understand them. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. A mother is giving breast milk to the child, but the child is lactose intolerant. Every time you give breast milk, because out of love for the child develops crisis, and he doesn't know. Maybe 5-10 minutes after you give breast milk to the child just becomes very hysterical, maybe vomiting or become running temperature, just manifesting different symptoms that shows that this child cannot handle that milk. Now, the mother is doing it out of love, but is killing her child.
she's killing her child. Until you know someone well, you cannot love them the way you should. Your love, if expressed the way you want to express it, might be destroying them, might be killing them, might be making their life difficult and making their life more miserable. That is why you must know yourself. You must know yourself. You know, people have talked about love language. You must know your partner's love language. Some people, their love language is word of affirmation. Some people, it is gift. Now, for someone that is word of affirmation, if you buy gift, he will not appreciate it. He will collect it, but will not appreciate it. But by saying word of affirmation, he's happy. It just is worth more than a car. But for someone that love language is gift, if you speak word of affirmation, we are wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Why? Because as far as it's concerned, all this your talk. If it doesn't translate into something tangible that she can use, you're wasting your time. You don't love me because you have not given me anything. If you love me, give me something. For some, it's quality time together. When you spend time with them to gist, that is their love language. Don't give them anything. Don't even say word of affirmation. Just let us gist. Let's have time together. That is enough. That is enough. That's a sign of love. For some, it is public PDA, public display of affection. They want the hug in the open. They want the kiss in the open. I say they want public, they love it. For them, that's a sign of love. Now, let me tell you. If you do not know your wife's love language or husband's love language, ask them. It took me a while to be able to discover that of my wife. It took me a while. If you do not know it, please ask them. Ask her. Ask him. If you know this before you get married, it's great. It's better. If you are going to know it after, no problem. But it is a lot better if you know it before. Because then, these are tools you are supposed to use to make your relationship sweeter, actually. Now, there are some people, they don't want to, it is during courtship, you should discuss your user's manual. For example, some people don't like to be woken up when they are sleeping, except it is a life-threatening issue. Some people hate it when you keep repeating what you have told them to do. If you tell them to do something, all you need to do is to say it once. They are okay with it. Don't repeat it. Don't repeat it. If you repeat it, it irritates them, to make them, they don't like it because you are telling them that they are not taking what you say serious, and they're taking it serious. Some will say, if you must correct me, it should not be done publicly. Some will say, no matter what I do, please don't shout at me, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me when you're talking to me. When you're talking to me, don't talk down on me. When you're talking to me, don't talk down on me. Don't let me feel less of myself. Now, if you do not communicate during courtship and develop user's manual, you will just mess up the relationship because you really don't know what the other party wants. You really don't know what the other party wants. So some people don't want you to yell at them. No matter what they do, you can correct me, but don't yell at me. If you must correct me, don't let it be public, let it be private. If I'm sleeping, don't wake me up, please, unless it's life-threatening. Some people, they don't like it. If you tell me something, once is enough. The rest assured I will work on it. You don't need to be repeating it every time as if I'm a deaf person. I say, so many issues. Having discussed all this before marriage, you now need to apply all these users' manual when you get into the marriage. But if you do not discuss it and perfect that friendship and communication, please don't get married yet. This means you need to first understand yourself and then teach your spouse to be able to manage you and get the best out of you. Understand yourself first and then teach your spouse how to manage you
and get the best out of you. Understand yourself first and teach your spouse about how to manage you and get the best out of you. But if you do not even understand yourself, how then do you expect the other party to understand you? How will he not offend you? He will offend you now. How will he not offend you? You don't even understand yourself. And you have not make it read the riot act. These are my red line, you. Please, I beg. If you want the best out of me, this is what you must not do. You ever wonder why couples keep offending each other? Particularly when they just get married, because they've not developed their visuals marriage, they don't know themselves. They keep offending each other. They keep offending each other. Intimacy or oneness in a marriage is very important because there is a journey that both parties have to go through to get to that level of intimacy. He said, therefore shall the man leave the wife, father and mother, and then cleave to the wife, and both of them become one flesh. So there is a leaving, there is a cleaving. This leaving and cleaving is what makes you both to become one flesh. There is a leaving, there is a cleaving. It is the leaving and cleaving that make you both to become one flesh. Becoming one flesh is not only about sex. There is spiritual intimacy. It is achieved through praying together and studying the word of God together. There's emotional intimacy. This is achieved through watching film together or going out to eat together outside, going out for picnic, just go out together, or having your bath together, or going on a holiday together. Emotional intimacy. It is important to state here that your spouse should be your best friend. Your spouse should be your best friend. And these have numerous advantages. When your spouse is your best friend, it helps you to prevent infiltration of enemy using the age-long strategy, which is divide and rule. Which is divide and rule. Which is divide and rule. Age-long strategy. When you're friends, you will not allow the devil to infiltrate. This strategy is being used by children when you give back to them. When you give back to them, they use it when they know there is no unity between the husband and wife. When they do something wrong, they know the husband and wife does not agree on how to punish. They will run to the mother or run to the father. Why? They know both of you did not agree. Both of you don't agree on how to punish. And they will leverage on that division to be able to take advantage of it for themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have discussed again preparation today. Next week, we're going to be discussing planning, issue around finance. We'll be discussing different issues around planning next week. Then upper we'll be discussing pointers. Afterwards, we'll discuss promiscuity. During promiscuity, I'll be talking about adultery. I'll be talking about issue around adultery, promiscuity. And then after that, we'll discuss pressure. Pressure, stress that people go through in marriage, and how can they manage those stress. All right, let me hear from you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks you for joining. Favor, good evening. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Wow. Tonight's session was really mind-blowing. Okay. I learned that for me, like what really stood out for me was that friendship part. Like before you even get married to somebody, even before courtship, there should be some sort of like friendship, like you should be free around that person. Because what I realized is that like many people, whenever they are courting and maybe they were not friends, they'll kind of like hide certain things and they'll be critical and all of that. So but when you're friends with someone, like you'll be free, you'll be able to chat, like talk, laugh, play, like tease them, all of that. And even when you're friends with like your wife, like you won't find it difficult to come home. Like if you're friends with your husband, like you will even be looking forward to going home and all of that. And another thing that you really talked about was like, it's very easier to like talk to a friend, or like someone you just think it's just like you're not someone you're not free around. It's very easier to talk to a friend. So what really stood out for me like is that friendship part. But so I have a question.
Why?
There was a place you talked about your personalities matching, because like about the temperament, melancholy, sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, and all of that. So like if for example like you want to get married to a person, or maybe you are courting with a person, you're in a relationship and your personalities kind of like do not match. Maybe for example you are maybe more of choleric and the person's kind of like melancholy, sanguine, kind of like that type, and you see that you guys are not, and you see because of your temperament, like you guys are not connecting well, and you say because of that you want to call off maybe the engagement or all of that. Are people not going to see you as very selective and choosy, picky, stuff like that? And my second question is like, I know of a couple like they are not really like agreeing on certain things, like the communication is not really there. That kind of couple, like how can someone help them, like something like that? So those are my two questions. Thank you, sir.
Now, don't mute. Don't mute. You gave,
Okay, sir.
asked the first question about people having issue, people not being, they can't relate to each other because of their personality type. You now gave example of people already married that have that issue already that is affecting them, and you're saying, if I don't do this without being choosy, if we cannot relate with each other, we can't just have decent conversation because we are just too different. That is the goal of courtship. The goal of courtship is to know, can we work together? You said two must work together. They must agree.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the scripture already give you a principle, two cannot work together unless they agree. If I'm a talkative and you don't like
True.
if we marry, you are going to give me, I'm going to be in pain because I want to talk, but you don't want to talk. We're going to be fighting because you don't want to, but I want to. So why would I? The essence of course, no. It's to know. In fact,
common ground, yes.
If I pray and I believe God led me to someone, one of the way to confirm if I heard myself, or I heard the devil, or I heard God, is when I begin to see the compatibility issue of courtship. So, for example, now look at this. Talking about compatibility issue, look at both of them are ASAS.
Exactly. Genotype.
You are not, if you will not marry, if both of you are AS,
they're not compatible.
Why do you want to now marry if one person is very outgoing, outspoken, the other person is very timid?
Exactly.
If you will not marry, both of you so you will now know that there's an issue here now. What I'm trying to say is that both of you should be such that you can work together. If you can two work together, except they be agreed, that's exactly in scripture. We must be able to agree. We must be able to relate with each other. There's no point going ahead. The people that are already inside, they should go and see marriage counselor. They should go and see marriage. If they want peace, if they want to progress, they should go and see marriage counselor. That's what I would tell you. Because I don't know the details. What I would recommend is go and see marriage counselor who can audit them and find a way to help them to be able to work together, even though they are different.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for the clarity.
All right. Victor, good evening. How are you? Hello, Victor. Can you hear me? Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for today's session. And yeah, I have a couple of questions because
Go ahead.
not just today, because I've been listening to. I think I listened to last week episode, and I'm trying to like marry everything together. Yeah, okay. Let me start from today. Yeah, you talked about like when people have issues, you should see a marriage counselor, marriage counselor. But many a times there are people that have actually seen. Or honestly, like how do you even identify? Because these people, I don't know, like how do you identify a good marriage counselor? It's just the same way that there are doctors everywhere, but they are also quack doctors. So how do you know? Because in Nigeria or in our environment here, marriage is not something that is. I don't know from my own view, it's not something that is like readily available. It's not as if you know, like, okay, this is one person that's very good. It's not number one. People don't even consult them many a times, and even those that are good, how do you even locate them to know that you are in the right place? Because it's one thing to
So
find a marriage counselor, is another thing to find a good one.
if I want to buy, if I want to take my children to a school, how do I know this place is a good place? How do I know they can teach very well? I do my research. I ask myself, number one, what are the quality of a good school? If you go online, you will see information on the quality of a good marriage counselor. So if you find one, go and check their profile. Go on LinkedIn. See what people are saying about them. Check down if they have video, listen to their video. I say you do your research. You don't just go to anybody. It's the laziness to do research about what people want to do that is causing what you are saying. It's laziness. There are so many of them in our society. If you go online, some of them do program on Facebook. Check them out. Talk to people who have related with them. Check their history. How long have they been in it? Who are those that engage them? Where do they go to speak? So there are a lot of credibility that you can find that will let you know that this person is someone you want to consider because they have history, they have testimony, and they are not just blabbing, they are professional, they have skill in this area. So it's research that will help you. Like just the way you research to know this good school, that's also the research. Sometimes when you want to engage the service of someone like that, you say, oh, please, can I get to meet one or two of your successful candidates who have come to you? And they will tell you, and you check them out. In fact, if you really online desktop research alone, if someone is a marriage counselor, if you can't find anywhere online that he has spoken, I won't consider you even go there. If nobody have inspired him and he spoke, either in YouTube or podcast, for me, it's a no-no. He must have been able to speak. I think if you are good at it, people will invite you to come and speak. And you speaking will let me know the kind of fiber you are made of. I don't know if I answer your question.
Oh, okay. All right, sir. Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. So yeah, last week I was listening to like last week topic, and we were talking about preparation too.
Yeah.
And today you mentioned like users manual.
Yeah.
That is important that people know like how to deal with people. Like, okay, this person doesn't like them waking them up when they are asleep and all of that. So last week talking about preparing when you go to we were talking about preparation, and you say something that if you know that you cannot forgive like cheating, like your spouse will cheat, that if you are not prepared, that means you should not get married.
Yes.
Then I'm wondering that don't we all have deal breakers? Because I feel like it's important that you spell it out, that if you know that it's something that
you can't cope with.
You cannot cope with.
So that if you don't kill yourself.
Yes. So I feel like if you discuss it with your spouse before getting married and it happens, like not that it happened, but
So
I feel like
should
if you
discuss it normally now, but discussing it does not mean it might not happen.
Yes, but if it's a deal breaker, it's not like if you will like discuss, okay, this is something I don't think I can cope
for
with.
you, that's the reason why you should not consider it now. This one, if this one happen, I will never forgive. Then why are you getting married? Don't do it. Okay, it can happen. If you are going into marriage, let me tell you, if you're going to marry, there should be nothing your spouse will do that you will not be able to forgive. There should be nothing that you will do that you're not ready to forgive.
Nothing. Wow.
Jesus forgive you everything. Why can't you forgive? There should be nothing he will do that you're not able to forgive. My brother, it's a serious matter.
That's a lot to process. So.
It's a lot to process, and I agree with you. But that's the reality. So, it's like when Jesus say, you should forgive 490 times a day, he's basically saying that forgive people before they even offend you. Forgive people because they offend you. Because they will offend you. So this is the way to live in peace, because not anybody prays for it to happen. But let me tell you, things do happen in this life. You'll be shocked at how things happen. The man might not be at fault, the woman might not be at fault. He might just find himself in a very terrible situation. He's not getting attention from home. There's a very beautiful lady giving her attention at work, or she's not getting attention from home. There's a very cute, handsome guy giving her attention at work. One thing led to the other, one thing led to the other one. Look, this thing happened. So look, it should be lesson for even the other party. Because if it happens, if both of them are Christian and it happens, it's good you dig deeper. It might be the fault of the guy. Not to exonerate the lady or the whoever has done, but we're going to discuss adultery in another 2 or 3 sessions. We're going to probably touch on some of these issues.
Oh, okay, sir. So, yeah, okay. I wonder. I was listening to another episode last week. You said that you have a choice. Like you were saying that if you are marrying someone, like the meaning of "I do" means you say that this is the best person in the world.
Out of all the women in the world, this is the one you want to choose.
Yes, and it means to you that this is the best person. So I was wondering that word "best" is like, I just feel like, if we are being honest, the truth is that the person that you eventually marry will not be the most beautiful person or the most intelligent person.
So why do you marry her? Why do you marry her? Look for the most beautiful to you and marry that person so that you won't be looking outside.
Okay. I just feel like, okay, in this scenario, it's more or less like you miss people as everyday this was with you. You always miss new people, and there's every possibility that you're going to meet someone that will beat your.
You have to convince yourself. You have to convince yourself that your own is better. You have to. You need to. I'm serious. If you don't convince yourself, then you will discard your own and go after another one. Let me tell you, immediately you marry as a guy, fine girl will just be show. They will just be showing. Immediately you choose one, fine girl will just be showing. So you must convince yourself. You see, this one I choose is the best. So you can discard all these other ones. Because that's actually what you say when you say I do.
Well, again, I look at it that many times when I see like many marriages, or many weddings, I just feel like many times like socio-economic status, like money. You said that relationship is the most important thing in relationship. But I feel like many times what bring many marriages together is money, is socio-economic status. Because many times you always see the rich marrying the rich, and people always marry people from their similar social class. So I just feel like every day it's not that who you actually marry is not largely dependent on how much is your pocket. Because
not necessarily. Let me tell you what happened. By virtue of your status, there are a group of people you find yourself naturally. By virtue, either you are in the upper class, middle class, or lower class. By virtue of your status, there is a group of people that you find yourself around naturally. Do you understand? Maybe by virtue of where you work, things you do. So, because these are people that are always around you, the chance that you're going to choose from them is also very high.
But in a place like a church now, where every canary is there, there's always there's high and low.
What you don't know is that even in the church, there is clique. Even in the church, there are clique. You might not know. You yourself, you are in a clique subconsciously. You don't even know. There's some people who just flow with. There's people you don't flow with, and there's nothing wrong with them.
Well, okay. Using myself as an example, most of the people I know, they are very wealthy. Me, I'm
That's to
sure.
tell you of your mindset. That means your mindset is wealthy. That's why you can flow around with people that are wealthy. So it's not really what they have, it's the mindset you have. So if you find yourself, you're not very rich, but you're always around rich people, there's a way you think that makes you attracted to them, that make them also comfortable with you. That's why. So it's not really in the physical possession, it's also in the mind, because all this is all about decision. It's a decision you are taking subconsciously.
Wow. All right, so.
All right.
Thank you, for that. So, sir, one more thing again. So
yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Said that like communication, like friendship, is almost like you said that. I think you mentioned during the teaching that the reason why most marriages fail or most marriages are having challenges is because many at times the courtship was faulty.
Yes.
And many of the issues that they face is because many of them, yes, that they couldn't build like relation, they couldn't build friendship because of communication generally. So I was now wondering, is it not recommended that if friendship and communication is so important, is it not recommended that people spend like longer time in getting to know each other, either in the dating setting?
Yes. Which is why when you marry someone who you already know yourself on campus, either because you're in the same department, in the same fellowship, in the same club, it's a lot better because you will have known yourself subconsciously for a longer time because of even when you were not conscious of that relationship. That's why it's actually better. But if that does not happen, then you need to spend a lot of time. The good thing is that you can develop that friendship if you spend time discussing every day, discussing different matter, different issue every day. It will come out because you can always develop friendship actually. Because that's what makes it free for you guys to discuss among yourself, yap yourself, gist with yourself, and the like.
So okay, also like, is there any like recommended? Not really recommended. What are your thoughts on like the numbers of years people should make sure that before they number of years? Like, is there any number of years
that what?
That's recommended for people should know each other well before putting into marriage?
If you guys don't know each other at all, it will be good to have up to 6 months to 1 year of intensive conversation. Intensive conversation. As in, that means you guys talk regularly, you discuss. As in, if you are spending 1 hour discussing each day for a whole year, I think that will be good enough. At least 1 hour each day to discuss. Because you know, the way when we discuss, it's also emotional connection, getting used to each other. A lot of things happen in the process. A lot of things happen in the process. So that would be my recommendation. I just feel a year of 1 hour interaction every day is a good time to learn, to get to know each other.
But I was thinking that that's not even too short because people will be like,
you might be right if there is no quality conversation. You might be right. But you can spend 2 years, 3 years and still not get anything good out of it because there was no quality conversation, which is why the conversation also should be guided on what we discuss, as in, so that we can discuss across every area.
Oh, okay. Like every area in terms of like, is it just because? Okay.
Yeah, every area, but this is where you need skill. That's why this kind of program is important. If you listen to this, you'll have found a lot of areas we've talked about. User manual is an example. Family constitution is an example. What's the name? Aligning your belief, like so that you don't marry unbeliever who doesn't believe what you believe. Our relationship is an example.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. The other lady is no more here. So we need to close now. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for being able to make it tonight. We'll continue next week. Have a wonderful weekend and bye-bye.
Bye.